Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I hope you're all doing well today. I have a message for someone who is ready to let their creations flow out of them without judgment. So let's pull a few cards and see what's going on for you right now. Alright, so we have the Two of Wands. So I feel like you are someone who's very ambitious, and I feel like you have something that you want to share with the world, but where this could almost be holding you back a little bit is that you could be putting a lot of pressure on yourself to feel like everything that you create has to be worthy of being shared with the world, or feeling like everything has to be at that very high caliber. So maybe you're someone who really likes to listen to a lot of music or watch movies or look at art, and you have a few favorite artists who have created things that have really impressed you. And this could even go for, like, if you're not an artist, it could be like there's a business that you're very inspired by, and it's like this is kind of the level of ambition that you're trying to reach one day, where you would like to dominate the world as such, or just have something that you could really share with the world that you feel like is the quality or just the caliber that is able to resonate with a lot of people. But where this can hold you back is that you feel like everything you make has to be at that level. But really, this is holding you back from reaching your highest potential, because at the beginning, everyone has to start somewhere. You have to start being a little bad or a little cringe, or it's not perfect, or it's a little derivative. And that's just the training wheels of learning to use your creativity. So when you judge your creations too harshly, this almost holds you back a little bit from being able to reach those higher levels, because you just need to stay in that flow state and just let it keep flowing, let it keep coming out. It's almost like a tap, where if you've ever lived in a place that has kind of old plumbing, which I have, you turn the tap on and it runs brown for a while. Which, okay, this was not pleasant. Thankfully, I live somewhere where the water just runs clear, but it runs brown for a while, and then you just wait, and then finally it starts running clear. So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, is like, when it comes to your creations, you just gotta open up that tap, let it flow out. It's not gonna be drinkable for the first while, but then once you do get some nice fresh running water, it's gonna be lovely. Alright, so we have Strength coming out. So this is really about taming the beast, and it's this feeling of almost tempering yourself over time as well, where it's like finding this balance where you want to let your creations flow out, and this is kind of like the lion, and then the strength is your ability of discernment, like the woman figure here, to then decide, like, okay, what is worth improving on, sharing with the world, like really getting this to a polished level that you could share publicly, or like, is it worth sharing every single thing publicly, or do you sometimes need to rein the beast in a little bit? But of course, you're not tranquilizing the beast, right? You can see that she doesn't like have to restrain the beast with cords or anything, which is kind of the vibe that you get when you stop yourself from creating, like you cut off that flow state because you're like, oh, it's not good enough, then you kind of cut off the beast. But it's like using your discernment to decide, okay, maybe this is not quite the caliber of work that I'm looking for, but it's still okay, and it's just kind of being gentle about it, and that's what tames the lion, so that it still has its full potential, but is at the same time like not going too crazy. Because sometimes if you let yourself flow out without any discernment whatsoever, it can kind of end up like maybe you're going in circles, or you're kind of making the same thing over and over. So if you feel like you're getting kind of stuck in that loop, that's where the strength comes in to say, like, it's not just pure unbridled creativity, because, you know, if we were in that state, we would just literally be dancing around the whole time, or just like singing without ever making a finished song. Whereas if you want to, you know, make something that you could really share with the world in that way, you kind of have to rein it in a little bit. But that's something that comes later. First, you have to nurture the beast first and let it grow into something. We have the Queen of Pentacles, so again with this feeling of growing, right? It's like you're kind of percolating something, or it's like an egg has been laid, but the egg has not yet hatched, and it's something that you're admiring quite strongly. I think you love this part of yourself, like this creative potential within you, where it feels like you really have a great idea, like you really have something to share with the world, and you know it's gonna be great. Like you feel just in your heart of hearts, like this is the distillation, like the pearl of all your insight that has, you know, been rounded up through the dirt, and it's been polished inside of you to this like perfect gem, and you just know that it's going to be good when you share it with the world, but it's not quite ready yet. Like the egg hasn't quite hatched, but you're taking care of it, you know, the way that a bird like nurtures her eggs, right? She doesn't want it to get broken, so she's just holding on to it, keeping it warm, incubating it. Like that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from you right now, and it's this kind of feeling of like when it's ready to be shared with the world, it will come out. But for now, you just don't want to stifle the flow at all, right? Because you still need to ensure that like you're showing some warmth to this creative side of you. So that's where it's like when you are not so accepting of your creations, then it's like this is like if the bird stopped incubating the egg and left it out in the cold, then it would not be able to reach maturity, right? So it's kind of understanding that your individual creations are all part of a wider creative part of yourself that you could even personify. Like you could call this your inner child or your inner artist, or you could even personify it into some other sort of character if you wanted. And you could kind of see this as like just being all part of one force, like all one mass. It's like an extension of that side of yourself. So sometimes it can be really easy to criticize our creations of just like, oh, that wasn't very good, you know, like, oh, the drawing I made yesterday was a lot better than the drawing I made today, or like this drawing pales in comparison to what other people are doing, right? But when you get in that mode of criticism, it's almost like hurting that side of yourself. It's like wounding it, because all of those creations are an extension of that which creates the creation. So it's like as soon as you start criticizing, that kind of cuts you off from this flow state, where of course, like I mentioned, it is important to have discernment, where like, okay, if you can discern in one of your works, oh, I kind of copied that a little bit, like I was cribbing a little bit from another artist, like it looks too much like their style, that's kind of a judgment that is made just like from a more discerning place. So like, okay, this is an objective judgment. That doesn't mean it's good or bad, because of course we're all influenced by other people. Like you can just make an objective statement about your work, right? But when you start saying like, oh, this is bad, I'm doing something wrong, like I'm not a good artist or anything like that, or like this drawing is trash, this is useless, right? It's like, no, then you're just cutting yourself off from being in that flow state, because when you're in that flow state, you accept everything as it comes naturally. Like you just accept it for what it is. It's not trying to like hate on it, thinking like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have said that. You just let it flow like the river, right? And it's almost like if you imagine it again with a tap, and it was like suddenly the tap it started running brown again for a little bit, and then it ran clear again, but then the brown part of the water is already down the sink. You wouldn't turn the tap all the way off and say like, oh my god, because the water was brown for a second, it's all bad and it's trash. No, like you still gotta let it keep flowing, right? And be in the present, because in the present, all those things that you could judge are now in the past, so they're no longer real. So your judgment is essentially a waste of your time, and it's just something that breaks you out of the flow state. All right, we have the devil. Ooh, okay, so there is this feeling of, like, there could be something, like, yeah, with your judgment relating to, like, this devilish energy of, like, that is almost the voice of Satan inside you, because God would not judge his creations. Like, of course he is, like, judgment is in God's hands alone. So, like, God is the only one who is able to judge. So, essentially, God is saying, like, you should not judge things, for it is me who will hold judgment in my hands. But that doesn't necessarily mean God is judging you. Like, could you imagine, like, a little kid making a drawing and and God comes down and looks and is like, oh, that's an ugly drawing, that's so bad, right? Like, no, of course he wouldn't do that, because he loves all his children. And you can imagine this, and like, even if you don't believe in a Christian God, I'm not specifically talking about a Christian God, it's more like a metaphor of like, okay, you can call it the creative spirit. Would the creative spirit look at you making all these beautiful works of art or whatever you're creating and say, oh, that one wasn't good enough? Like, no, it's still going to be celebrating you because of the fact that you're creating so freely and openly. So it's about getting more in touch with that side of things, because every time you align yourself with this critical, really harsh voice in your head, and this inner voice could have been informed by like a teacher, a parent, or peers who are very unkind to you, so you could kind of personify it in that way as well. Or you could personify it as the devil, of like, oh, Satan's trying to stop me from creating more, so he's gonna make me all self-conscious and insecure and use words like cringe. But when you just let go of all of that, then that's when you can just enjoy creating and just keep creating. That's kind of the most important part of this, is like, your creative nature is a part of you that should never be stifled. And as soon as you cut it off, it's like you've kind of lost it in a way. Because I think a lot of people have this idea that you're supposed to create something really good. You're just supposed to sit down at your desk and work on something until it's really good. And then you just have this one thing that's really good, and then you're done. But it's more like, creation is, again, like I mentioned, an extension of yourself. You keep going. It's like a living being that you're nurturing. Like, you can think of it as like a Tamagotchi, or like a real life pet, I guess. It's like, you're always nurturing it over time. You don't just like give a lot of love to your dog one day of just like, okay, I'm giving you the best treats and we're training you how to do tricks, and then the next day you just let it die. It's like, no, it's something you want to keep alive. You want to keep watering for the rest of your life. Like, this is something that will serve you for all your time on this planet, of just being able to translate your experiences into things that other people can understand, that it can help them on their path, that it will make them feel seen, or it could give advice to the younger generation, or it could communicate things about what your generation has been through, just all these unique aspects that only you can express throughout your life. And it's sometimes like a clearer way of expressing things than just through words, of like, yes, you can talk about your experience, but sometimes creating something bigger will enable it to be shared in a wider platform, like with this Two of Wands energy, is like you're sharing it with the world, or like it can imbue it with more emotion, of like, if you turn your feelings of like a particular situation into a song, it's like that's adding a whole new layer that can't be communicated through words. It can only be communicated through music. Right, so we have the Four of Pentacles. So I feel like you could be a little bit guarded about some of your creations as well, where maybe there's almost a fear of sharing things or like bearing your heart in that way, because like I mentioned, your creations are an extension of you and they communicate your feelings and experiences at a very deep level, and sometimes it can be so intensely personal that it feels like you don't want to share it, right? Because there's some conversations that, you know, I mean, I'm someone who likes to talk very freely, so I will share these kind of things with anyone, but there's some conversations that some people will only have with like very close people to them, or even just like only with a therapist. They would never talk about these things with the average person that they meet. But when you're making art or anything that you're really creating from this really core sense of self, it's almost like all those things that you wouldn't usually talk about start coming out in your art. And then that's where you can sometimes get a little bit guarded about it, because it's like, well, I wouldn't talk to someone about this normally, so why would I share this piece of art? And it's almost like you're like being naked, like people can see into your soul when you share this artwork and they get to look at it. It's almost like they get to know you on this deeper level than people get to know you just by talking to you. Like, it's almost like showing your art. It's like, this is the real me, okay? Like, when I'm talking to you, that's kind of the persona, but this stuff is like the real stuff, right? And so that's where some of this Four of Pentacles energy could be coming out, is like, you could be a little bit guarded about some of your creations, and that could almost lead you to being a little bit demotivated about them as well, because then, you know, you're only seeing your creations through your own lens, which, as I mentioned, sometimes has this really harsh inner critic or inner judge associated with it that could have been informed by actual criticism that you received in your life. So people tend to have this bias when they look at their own creations of just like, oh, it's not that good, because you were there when you were making it, and like I mentioned, it's an extension of yourself. Everyone's very hard on themselves in general, so it's like you look at it and it's like, I just don't really like it. But when you show it to someone else, right, they would be blown out of the water of this thing that you've poured your heart and soul into, and the technical skill that you've cultivated, that you spent hours cultivating to be able to create this. It's just so amazing. I mean, you probably feel this when you look at other people's work too. It's just like, wow, that's so incredible. And even if it's like, you can tell that it's like not so technically perfect, or that it was like maybe a little rushed or anything, like you could tell that about it, but you know, you don't make a judgment or a criticism based on that. You still think it's pretty amazing that someone did that, right? And, you know, had the guts to share it. So you just gotta look at it from that perspective when you're analyzing your own works and thinking about sharing them with the world. It's like, what's the harm? Like, you know, we gotta stop taking things so seriously sometimes. Like, we're here for a good time, not for a long time. So this whole concept of like not wanting to put your work out on social media or all of these wonderful platforms we have for sharing our creations that are like more advanced than anything we ever had in history. Like, you know, the printing press didn't even used to exist, and now you can just post things online and have it pop up on people's screens. And it's like you're too shy to post that because you're scared of judgment. It's just like you're really depriving yourself of a wonderful opportunity by being so guarded about your creations. And often that's coming from a place of insecurity. I mean, of course, if you are just feeling like more in this Queen of Pentacles energy, and it's like, okay, let me cook, you know it's good, and you just want to cook on your own, and you don't need any sort of validation, you don't want to share it with anyone right now, because the project that you do want to share with people is going to be like a little bit different in nature and scope, that's okay, of course, as well. But it's like, if you do have things that you kind of would like to share with people, but you're just not putting it out there because you're a little bit shy about it, then this is definitely your encouragement to just, give it a shot. Like at the end of the day, when you make it big, right? When you do that thing that is like the thing really close to your heart that is like your world domination project or whatever, right? All of those little sketches that you were posting on social media or whatever, like that is going to fade away into the distance. No one's really going to look at that. Like if you want that to become lost to the sands of time, things always exist on the internet, but it's also like no one was going to care, right? If you make something that's 10,000 times better than whatever you're doing right now that you think isn't that good, people are going to be looking at that thing. They're not going to be judging you based on the stuff you did when you were just starting out. So really there's no harm in sharing it. And it can really attract in peers who are at the same level in their career as you as well, which can be extraordinarily valuable, because it's like, okay, we're all just starting out. We understand we're just kind of experimenting, throwing things at the wall. We're all a little confused, but these are going to be some of your most valuable allies once your career starts to pick up, right? Because, I'm sure you've listened to a song where, they got features on the song, that sort of thing, right? It's people who are working together. You're kind of in the same community. You're doing the same thing with your art. And so it's like, by sharing your artwork now, you're essentially drawing in the people. You're magnetizing yourself to attract in people who are at the same level as you artistically and creatively, with the same kind of mindset or the same kind of interests when it comes to aesthetics or sound, vibe, that sort of thing. So it's really helping you out now just by sharing your work, even if you don't think it's that good, because it's going to, draw in people to you who, like, in a few years or even now are really going to help you out in your career. And it's just so great to have those connections in your life. Like when you're first starting out, it's just like, oh, someone's just liking my posts, that's whatever. You don't really think anything of it, right? But then after a few years pass, you're like, damn, this is a really valuable ally. I'm so glad that I had them as a day one. Right, the Knight of Wands. So I feel like this is almost something that's like holding you up. Like you could be feeling some sort of artist block right now, because like I mentioned, it's like you want to let go of judgment so you can let your creations flow out of you. So it's almost like that's where this feeling of artist block comes in, where artist block is not real, guys. Like, okay, no, I know a lot of people go through it, and so it's real in that sense, but it's only real if you choose it to be real. If you choose it to think, okay, I don't have any ideas, so I can't create anything now. Okay, you've given yourself artist block. It's like a placebo type of thing, or like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You've induced this in yourself, right? But when you remember that the creative spirit is something that is within all of us, it's constantly flowing around us, it's everywhere, like it's within everything, that as soon as you touch your pen to the paper, something is going to flow out. If you just sit there and freestyle a rap, something is going to come out. It doesn't really matter like what you do, like you will start to create if you just give yourself that opportunity to do it. Really what you're blocking yourself from is picking up the pen in that first place, or letting the song flow out of you in the first place, because you're kind of worried about judgment, or because you're judging yourself too harshly. It's like coming from this place of this devil energy of insecurity, of like, how will people perceive me? Is this cringe? Is this corny? Oh, it's so embarrassing. I feel so embarrassed when I'm just, throwing things at the wall, right? But you gotta forget about that, because that's what keeps you held up, right? That's what keeps you stuck. As soon as you let go of all of that mental stuff and just like, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. I feel insecure right now. I feel like I haven't made good art in a while, but I'm still gonna pick up that pen and do it. Then you've cured your artist block, because something is going to be on that page, whether you think it's good or not. And you don't have to have an idea before you start. Like if you're a visual artist, you can just draw little squiggly lines and something will come out. If you are a musician, like you could just improvise random notes on your instrument, or like just sing some random runs. If you're a writer, just like literally just random free associate words, and then it's like out of that madness of this undefined kind of rambling, that is where some new gem of insight will come out to you. Of like, maybe you'll see a shape that's really cool, maybe there'll be a little melody that you are like, okay, I want to workshop that into a song, or just a phrase that really catches your eye and it's like, okay, I want to build on this, I want to build a story around this phrase. And so that's where artist block is not real, guys. And if you are interested in curing your artist block long term, I would really recommend the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's incredible. I read that when I was first starting my journey with YouTube and starting to do art again after not doing it for 2 years straight after graduating from art school. And when I did that self-help book, I swear I have been making art every day since. And I wouldn't credit it only to that book, but I will say that that is just one of the many resources we have in this world for artistic recovery, as she calls it. And of course, watching these videos on YouTube may inspire you as well. You know, connecting with artists in your community. It's you know, a million little puzzle pieces that we have to put together on this journey of self-discovery and self-improvement. So that's just one resource that helps me. All right, so we have the Two of Swords. So it's almost like this feeling of a false choice, where it's like, again, like similar to this feeling of artist block that I'm talking about. Is like, you know, it's like, okay, should I sit down and do some art, or should I watch TV, right? It's almost a false choice, because it's like, you know, at your core, that true part of yourself, you know, the part of yourself that knows you have something special to share with the world, and that's part of yourself that has an ambition for like world domination, or like world domination is just what I call it, because that's kind of how I see it. It's like, if you ever fantasized about like receiving an award at an awards show or something like that, but it's like, you know, that part of yourself is stronger, and it's like, that is what your true desire. Your true desire is not to sit and watch someone else do the thing that you want to do, like, and have all the experiences that you wish you could have, you know, this emotional drama on a television show that you wish you could live out, but instead you're just sitting there all clammed up because you're too scared to put yourself out in the world, right? It's a false dilemma, because you know that you're never going to be happy just living vicariously through the stars that you see on the big screen. You know, at your heart of hearts, your deepest intuition, that is who you are. Like, that is what you want to do. Not necessarily any aspirations of stardom. I mean, like I mentioned with this world domination feeling, like maybe those are a part of it on the ego level, but on this deeper level, you just know inherently that you are a creative being, and that creation is your purpose in life. Just not necessarily to even just like create any sort of specific thing, although that there may be specific things inside you that are waiting to come out, but just creating your own reality, creating the life you love. And that this feeling of stagnation that you might find yourself in is simply a blocking of this flow of intuition and this reluctance to act on the intuition that you are receiving. Like, it's almost like you already are getting these intuitions about what you should be doing, because, you know, I talk to a lot of people who do find themselves in this place of creative block, and they'll say things to me like, I wish I could make art every day. I wish I could do a drawing like that. I wish I could just write my own silly little song just for fun. But you can. If you're saying you wish you could, just do it. Like, no one is deprived of time or resources so that they cannot do it. And don't try to make excuses. Like, I know you work a lot of hours in the week and all that, but like, listen, there are people who are on the streets and they'll make music, and, you know, sometimes they'll even have a come up from that. Or like, there are people who, you know, they work long hours. What do they do when they come home? They decompress by watching TV and scrolling short form video content or watching YouTubes. Like, if you have time to watch a YouTube video, you could be making art right now, right? So like, and like, why this is a fallacy is like, you think it's decompressing, you think you're relaxing, you're actually poisoning your mind more with all these words that other people are speaking, and it's like confusing you. It's like making the water cloudy. And like, of course, good messages can be delivered in that murk, but in the whole, when it comes to following your own intuition, you don't really need anyone to be telling you what to do. Like, you already know what to do. It's like you're waiting for someone to tell you to go do what you want, to go live the life you want to live. It's like, just do it. Like, you don't need anyone to tell you to do that. And it doesn't actually give you more energy. Like, you think that it's like, okay, I'm relaxing. This is my relaxation time to scroll through short form video content. Again, like I mentioned, that just makes you more tired and exhausted. And I say that as someone who's kind of been on both sides of it. And, you know, I haven't been doom scrolling for a minute, but in the past few days, I was like, okay, whatever, let's see what's out there. Maybe I'll learn something new. And I scrolled some short form video content for an hour or whatever. And then I felt so drained. I felt like disgustingly tired in a way that I haven't felt in months. And I was like, oh, that's how it feels. Like, this is what people are subjecting to themselves to on a daily basis when they think they're energizing themselves. And it's like, as someone who makes art every day, I can tell you that when I sit down at my desk and work for like 4 hours on a drawing or a music or whatever, like, that energizes me. And like, I feel more amped up from doing that, whereas like for 4 hours, whereas like if I just spent 15 minutes scrolling stuff on my phone, I would feel so exhausted, like so much lower. Like it really genuinely like lowers your vibration whatever, if you believe in this esoteric stuff. So it's really just like follow your intuition, do what you actually want to do, and don't let people tell you that you're not good enough to be doing what you actually want to do. All right, because the result will be this 9 of Swords energy, right? Regret. Like you will just not be satisfied with where you are in life. It's like always this feeling of like, I wish I had done more, I wish I had kept up doing that passion that I had. And it's like, you don't need to wish for it, you can just do it now. So it's like, of course, let go of regrets. If you're the type of person who's like, I wasted so many years in art block, or I wasted so many years not knowing what I wanted to do, like that was part of your journey too. So just forget about that. You don't need any feelings of guilt associated with that or regret, and just start now. But you will be having even more of those feelings in the future if you don't start now, and they're going to be a little bit harder to work through. But at the same time, like you can just forget it. Like there's no need to have regrets, but I think there's a part of you that knows that you will regret it if you don't follow this true calling that you feel inside yourself. All right, and let's draw one more card to wrap up this reading. All right, so we have the 7 of Wands here. So there's a feeling of like fending off attacks, and really the call is coming from inside the house, right? I think a lot of people, they cut themselves off from letting their creativity flow because they think people are going to judge me. And it's like, okay, I've dealt with this before as well. Like, yes, people do judge you, but 99% of people are happy that you're creating. Like I mentioned, when you're aligned with God at your highest vibration, you're just happy to see people creating. When you're aligned with the devil, then that's when you start using words like cringe and corny. So, you know, if you're fending off attacks from haters, like first of all, your lovers outweigh your haters, so you can just forget about them. But like I mentioned, the call is coming from inside the house. The majority of haters live inside your head. Like you are your own biggest hater, or you might have figures in your life, like people who are your biggest hater. And I mean, honestly, again, you don't have any regrets. It's a false choice. If there's people who make you feel awful, they don't have a place in your life. You get to choose what your life looks like. And if there's people you're running into on a constant basis who are making you feel awful, there's a way out of that. You know, you just got to be creative about it, whether that means like escaping from an abusive situation, or cutting off unhealthy friends, or like going no contact with a family member who's very critical of you. Like there's ways to escape that if there are attacks in your real life. But the majority of these attacks that are cutting off your flow of creativity are coming from yourself. And it's almost like when you are more critical of yourself, people around you will be more critical too, of like, oh, this is kind of cringe, this is kind of corny, I don't really like this. That's more of the feedback you're going to be getting. Like people are kind of going to validate it, or like you are going to seek out people who will validate that, because that's how you see the world. So it's like you see your work as corny and bad, so you're going to hang out with people who are in this hater devil energy, who aren't creating anything themselves, but they will happily agree with you and say, yeah, that's corny, why would you even do that, like don't show me that. But when you align yourself with this highest frequency, you stop attacking yourself. You say like, I love the creative spirit, I just love creating freely. Then you're going to align yourself with people who feel the same way, and they're going to encourage you and hype you up, and those are going to be your day ones that are going to carry forward on your creative journey and always be there to support you and encourage you to keep creating more. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you would like a personalized 20-minute pre-recorded reading, please send me an email and I would be happy to arrange that. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.